So my dear friends, a very, very heartfelt welcome to you. I'm so glad that some of us are meeting in person and some on Zoom. It's really a blessing to have your presence. So let me start with the Surah Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم الصراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Sister Bahiyya, as we've gathered to celebrate this night of destiny, night of power, anything you want to convey?
I also want to join in welcoming people to this night. So glad that as we like to say here at the Interfaith Community Sanctuary, that the one who gathers us is actually Al-Jami, which is one of the names of Allah. And it means the gatherer. And I, for one, am always really curious about and grateful to Allah to see the ones who have been gathered, who have allowed themselves to be gathered. Let me say a few words about what we're doing tonight, yes, about our program tonight.
Sure, that'd be great. Yes.
So what we're doing first is a series of meditations and some chanting to bring us together around the purpose of our being here, the occasion for our being here. And that will go up until the time to break our fast, or up until iftar for tonight, which is around 8:18 our time. And we will do that with water and dates for the initial fast breaking. And then we will stay on Zoom to pray Maghrib prayer, the sunset prayer. And then after that, we will go off Zoom for a period of time so that people at home can eat with your families and friends. And then we will eat here, and then we will come back online at about 9:30 to do dhikr, a circle of remembrance, and we'll do that up until Isha prayer, and after Isha prayer we'll close the Zoom, our Zoom program and our program for the evening. So that's what the flow of the evening will be. And we're so glad again that you have joined us both online and in person.
Thank you so much, Sister Bahiyya. Now let's all of us together do a chant. I'm so excited that we can do it in person with some of you here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. So my dear friends, a few words about this very special, phenomenal event, Night of Destiny, Night of Power. Let me start by saying that Ramadan has several meanings. One, it is the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. It's also the practice of self-purification, fasting from pre-sunrise to sunset. But really, it is in honor of this very phenomenal event I'm referring to. In the 7th century, we know which year it was, 610 CE, when Muhammad, not yet a prophet, was meditating in the caves in Mecca, Mount Hira. You know, he used to sometimes meditate for 40 days and nights because he was so despairing of the savagery of his time, of 7th century Arabia. And in the month of Ramadan, sometime during this month, some say towards the end, he was in deep silence. And maybe in the early hours of the morning, he was astonished to find a huge luminous light, radiant light approaching him, and he got very scared. And this light actually had a voice. It said, "I am Angel Gabriel," and it commanded Muhammad to recite. It said, "Iqra." And Muhammad felt very petrified, shivering, thinking he had gone crazy. He was hallucinating. And he ran down the mountain in fear, concerned, what is happening to me? And eventually into the arms of his beloved wife, Khadija, telling her, I'm going insane. And she reassured him that he was the most sane person she knew on the face of this earth. She wrapped him in blankets as he was perspiring, trembling, shivering. And when she felt assured that he was doing okay, she ran over to meet her distant cousin, a Christian named Waraka, who was blind and was a seer. And she said, "Oh, Waraka, please go into this trance and tell me what is happening to my husband." And Waraka goes into a trance and says, "Your husband is going to become a prophet. I beg you, please go back and persuade him to return to the caves of Mecca, where he came from." She went to Muhammad, and then very tenderly, in a very persuasive way, she convinced him to go back. And Muhammad, thinking his hallucination was over, he went back, and once again, this luminous light, once again this command, "Iqra." But this time he felt a deep squeezing pain within him, and from inside of him poured out words of astonishing beauty, which was seared into his soul, and which, as he repeated them to his family and friends, they wrote them down. And this happened for 23 years. Sometimes in response to a question, sometimes unpredictably. He would hear the buzzing of bees, chiming of bells, and he would feel this squeezing, and these words would pour out. So, the collection of this, as I say, over 23 years, is the Quran, which means recitation. So, one basic point I want to make, that Muslims, to express gratitude, deep thankfulness for the gift of the first verses of the Quran descending upon humanity, they make a commitment to purify themselves. You know, the sages say, what is it we can offer to God? Everything we have comes from God. The Quran says, bring to God a sound heart. And so, Muslims all over the world, they polish their heart metaphorically. The Quran says that when there is a wrong thought, an evil deed, it creates a stain, a rust on the heart. And the Prophet Mohammad said, for every rust, there is a polish, and the polish for the rust of the heart is remembrance of God. So we are using God's solvents, patience, compassion, love, to polish our heart, because it's the only thing we can take back to God. And as we do, God's face becomes reflected in that. Out of gratitude, we self-purify ourselves. May we always in gratitude continue this self-purification. And now a brief moment of silence in gratitude.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر.
Did you want to start the chant or do you want me to do it?
Why did you go?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. One more time. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah.
As Jamal was saying earlier, this night is known as the night of power, but it's also known as the night of destiny. And I have to admit that the night of destiny is my preferred name for this night. And it might seem obvious about what destiny we're talking about or whose destiny we're talking about, but over the years that I have been blessed to be participating in Lailat al Qadr, I've come to realize that, yes, the original Lailat al Qadr was Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him, Muhammad's night of destiny. It marked his initiation into prophethood. It was his taking his place in what had been a long line, thousands of prophets before him, human beings selected for the sacred work of delivering revelation, guidance from Allah, specifically chosen as mercies to their communities and to the larger world. Prophet Muhammad may peace and blessings always be upon him, as upon all the prophets, was not the first. He wasn't the first. But in Islam, we understand that he was the last. He was the seal of the prophets. Now, does that mean that Allah has stopped guiding humanity? Is revelation over? By no means. We're not on our own as humans. But what I've come to ponder over these years, and for me, this is my 17th Ramadan, so I'm still a baby at this. But what I've come to ponder is that perhaps prophethood with a capital P has been sealed. That particular destiny, that particular job description has ended. And in the revelation of the Quran, there's this understanding that the Quran is, in a certain sense, gives birth to a new kind of prophethood, if you will. Prophethood with a small p. What I like to call the prophethood of all the surrendered. The prophethood of all the surrendered. And when I think of prophethood in that way, as something that we are given, all of those who surrender to Allah, then Lailat al Qadr becomes our night of destiny. The prophet and the story of that night points us in a certain kind of direction, shows us the challenge. It foreshadows the difficulty. If even Prophet Mohammad, like the prophets who went before Muhammad, it seems to be a pattern when prophets are presented with their destiny as prophets to say, wait, I think you have the wrong person. I think you mean my brother or my sister. Go next door. I'm not worthy for this. I'm not worthy of this. And we do know, because we know this, what happens to the prophet and to his family, that the opening up of this calling, this initiation that happens on this night of destiny, is the beginning of a challenging journey, but yet it is one that has meant, the prophet himself could never have foreseen 1400 years later what came of that night of destiny. So I invite all of us on this night to take in the possibility that Allah has a very specific destiny for each and every one of us that has been planted deep inside of us, even maybe before we were born. And so as we celebrate Muhammad's night of destiny, and we celebrate the gift of the Qur'an. The Quran, this book that is the seal also of this capacity of humans to receive revelation. We're built as humans to receive guidance from God. We're those creatures who some of my indigenous kin say, oh, human beings are the weakest link in creation. We're the ones who need guidance because we're the ones whom Allah made. I sometimes think of us as an experiment on Allah's part, because Allah made us with this, what seems to be both this amazing gift, but also oftentimes becomes a kind of fatal flaw. This free will, this capacity to choose whether or not to love Allah back. And tonight, we get to entertain the possibility that Allah is watching us with love and wonder and mercy, and saying, are you going to surrender to your calling? So in the silence that we will go into in a minute, I invite us all to go inside, see where Allah might be squeezing you, squeezing us, trying to get our attention. Where Allah might be pulling us towards our own destiny, our own night of destiny, giving us some precious, precious task, entrusting us with some precious responsibility as one of the prophethood of all the surrenders. So this is our night of destiny.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والنجم إذا هوى ما ضل صاحبكم وما غوى وما ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى علمه شديد القوى ذو مرة فاستوى وهو بالأفق الأعلى ثم دنا فتدلى فكان قاب قوسين أو أدنى فأوحى إلى عبده ما أوحى ما كذب الفؤاد ما رأى أفتمارونه على ما يرى
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah.
So, my dear friends, this night of power, night of destiny, is so astonishing. The man Muhammad became a prophet that night. Peace be upon him. Peace upon all the prophets. And the gift of the Quran, the Sister Bahiyya, so beautifully, eloquently articulated. And the Quran, everybody agrees throughout the ages, linguists, scholars, academicians, people who like Islam, people who don't like Islam, every single person agrees that there is no body, no language of the Arabic language, no body of literature in the Arabic language that comes even close, remotely close to the beauty of the language in the Quran. The juxtaposition of words, the cadence, the rhythm, the unimaginable beauty of the sound of the vibrations of the words in the Quran that have an effect on the body, the mind, and the soul, just by reciting them. I forget, something my parents would tell me, that Allah hides in those ayat, those verses. So, Jamal, when you recite those verses, it is as if Allah is kissing your lips. There is unimaginable enchanting beauty, empowerment, healing when reciting the verses of the Quran. And for this, of course, we are so grateful. And I just remembered that wonderful hadith of the Prophet Mohammad, who said that, have you not noticed a bird, when it sips water, it tilts its head backward, heavenward, not only for the water to flow, but for gratitude and praise to flow heavenward. The Quran says, everything which God has created in the heavens and the earth extols the limitless glory of God. So when we praise God, when we thank God, when we express gratitude, we are really joining a cosmic chorus. May we take this lesson to heart. At all times, be grateful. I also wanted to say that the Quran has its roots in the womb of silence. Silence. There is profound beauty, majesty, and power in silence. I repeat, the Quran has its roots in the womb of silence. I love the words of the 13th century sage Rumi, who says, do you really understand silence? Silence is not the absence of sound. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of the little self. I, me, me, me. The sage goes on to say, silence is the language of God. Silence is the language of God. Everything else is a poor translation. It goes on. Therefore, Jamal, be silent. Be silent so that the Lord who gave you language may speak. For as he fashioned a door and a lock, she also made a key. In fact, Rumi was once asked, Maulana Rumi, you talk so much about silence, about the virtues of silence, the power of silence, the elegance of silence. But how come you have spoken and spoken and spoken and spoken? You've been speaking and speaking. And Rumi laughed and said, you know, the most radiant, silent one within me, the most radiant, majestic, divine, silent one within me has not said one word. The divine spark within me has not said one word. So may we practice in our lives, not only in Ramadan, in our daily lives, post-Ramadan, authentic silence. One more point I want to make. Angel Gabriel told the Prophet Muhammad, Iqra. Some say that Prophet Muhammad said, you know, he sort of stammered and said, but I'm illiterate. Iqra. Some sages say this means that become aware that within you, like Prophet Muhammad, when he was commanded to recite, say something, words of astonishing beauty came out. Within us, we have, as a human being, gifted from God, incredible resources, amazing possibilities. When God created the human being from water and clay, God also infused that molding of water and clay with divine breath. And then, if you remember, the Quran says, God asked the angels to bow down to the human. And when some of the angels were reluctant, Allah said, you do not know what I know. I have placed the names of all things in the human. And the Quran goes on to say, the human has the potential to rise to the highest of the highest, surpassing angels, or sink to the lowest of the lowest. We can tap into that source. The Islamic sages say, we have a knowledge within us that is beyond our rational understanding. Look at the birds. They know how to make nests. Beavers can make dams. Bees can collect nectar. Did they go to graduate school, architecture school, or get a PhD? How do they know? They have that innate knowledge, which is also within the human being. So the night of destiny reminds us the incredible potential we as human beings possess within us as a gift from God. I'll just end with a quotation from a verse from Rumi, who says about the human being, you are a ruby in the midst of granite. You are a ruby in the midst of granite. How long will you continue to deceive us? For we can see the look in your eyes. So please return to the root of your real self. May we always do that. So in this moment of silence now, let us be grateful for all the gifts that Allah has bestowed upon us, the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad, all the other prophets, and the incredible resources we have within ourselves. Let's be quiet for a few moments.
الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ صرفنا إليك نفرا من الجن يستمعون القرآن فلما حضروه قالوا أنصتوا فلما قضي ولوا إلى قومهم منذرين قالوا يا قومنا إنا سمعنا كتابا أنزل من بعد موسى إنا سمعنا كتابا أنزل من بعد موسى مصدقا لما بين يديه يهدي إلى الحق وإلى طريق مستقيم قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون واذكر ربك في نفسك تضرعا وخيفة ودون الجهر من القول بالغدو والآصال ولا تكن من الغافلين
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله.
one of the parts of the story of the original Night of Destiny that has always struck me deeply has to do with the fact that even that first night, it was not just Muhammad's Night of Destiny, but there were other people involved on that night, two in particular. And Jamal mentioned those two, Khadija, his wife, and Waraka, Khadisha's cousin, both of whom took part in Muhammad's Night of Destiny, but in a certain sense, it was a kind of initiation for both of them. Certainly for Khadija, Muhammad's partner. And by the time the Night of Destiny came, if my math is right, they had been together for, I think, 15 years by that time. And Khadija, I sometimes think, well, what would have happened had there been no Khadija? Would Muhammad have gone back up in the mountain, on the mountain? Well, of course, the plan was Allah's and the plan was made, and so there was Khadija. But when I think about that story more deeply, I understand it perhaps to be a sign to us, to those of us who come after the last prophet, of what it looks like to be part of a group of prophets with a small p. That Allah places us in company who can see who we are, who can reflect back to us what Allah is doing in us, what Allah is making in us. And we are called together to support one another in reflecting back the presence of Allah and saying, yes, actually, you are that capable. You do have that capacity. I see it in you. Khadija had been seeing it in Muhammad for years. In fact, as the story goes, she was the one who proposed to him. He was her employee. And she saw in this trustworthy, generous, humble man, not only a potential partner in her business, but a partner in life. And she proposed to him. Very unusual in those days, as I understand it. But she'd had a close-up view of him for a long time. And there's nothing like marriage to show people's faults and flaws. And so she got to see him up close. And so when he came down from the mountain thinking he was, not knowing for sure what this experience had been, she was able to say, I see what you might not be able to see yourself. Go back up. Step into your destiny. So that was a close-up view. Waraka's view was a slightly different view. He was at some distance. Waraka was a Christian. And Jesus was not on the scene. apparently, on that night of destiny. But Waraka recognized in the story, recognized the marks of a prophetic call. And he understood that it was the one God who was calling Prophet Muhammad. And through Waraka's guidance, Khadija went to Prophet Muhammad, and with their joint support, Muhammad went back up the mountain. I invite us all tonight on this night of destiny to consider our close-in connections, and maybe some that are not so close in as in every day, but those people in our lives whom we have met and understood to have a calling, whom we've understood we've seen their capacity to respond to Allah. People to whom we've been drawn to do something together, because we understand that Allah is all up in this encounter. I heard a story from a Sufi sheikh a number of years ago that came to my mind today in thinking about tonight. And as the story goes, that before we came into this world, we humans, we were in the world before, and our sole job was to dance around the throne of Allah. And even in that world, we were already ourselves. We're distinguishable from one another as ourselves. And once we come to this world, we will run into people whom we recognize from the world before as being people who we danced with there, because we didn't get a chance to dance with everybody. And those are the people we danced with in the world before. Those are the people with whom we get to do something in this world. So let's open ourselves to that possibility on this night of destiny, that we have people in our world, in our circles, or maybe people we have not yet met, but people with whom we danced in the world before this one. We've already danced around the throne of Allah with them. And they are our Muhammads and Khadishas and Warakas in this world. And let's celebrate tonight, celebrate that reality. And thank Allah for making that real for us.
إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah.
We finished early, of course. Should we do a meditation? Much more chance?
Do you lead a meditation?
Sure. Welcome, welcome. As this place is slowly filling up, very gently. You know, they say in the traditions that in places of sacredness, it's always a very crowded place because these invisible angels and jinns, they fill up the space. So it's a crowded space. Let's do a few more chants since we have time, and then maybe
I'd love to.
a short meditation. Allahu Allah,
Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah.
Twice softly.
Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah.
Twice aloud.
Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah.
becoming very still, open to the glow of presence. Shubhaya, I was thinking, as I do another chant, would you like to think of doing a Christian chant? Does it appeal to you?
Let me ponder that.
Okay. Okay.
Ponder that.
Okay. So let's just be still for a few moments. This is a vigorous one. Hu Allah, la ilaha illallah. 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 Bahiyya, you want to offer something?
I will. I am blessed by your presence, O Lord. I am filled with your blessings, Allah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Ya Allah. I am blessed by your presence, O Lord. I am filled with your blessings, Allah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah.
Ya Habib, Salam Alaikum. 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 Hazrati Bibi Maryam, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Khadija. Hazrati Bibi Khadija. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Asiya. Rati Bibi Asiya. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Fatima. Hazrati Bibi Fatima. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Rabia. Hazrati Bibi Rabia. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. And silence. you want to offer a chant? Do you want to offer another chant?
Right now.
Okay. Anybody from there, from the audience, want to offer a chant? You can sing from there and we shall follow you. If not, I can do a meditation.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, my dear friends, let's do a short meditation, a heart meditation. Just gently, as you're sitting comfortably, close your eyes. And then please focus on your nostril and simply be present with your breath as you inhale and as you exhale. Just this much. Mindful of the in-breath and the out-breath. If your visual see a color, feel, sense this in-breath and the out-breath. Just this much for a few moments. And if our attention strays, goes away, please compassionately, lovingly bring it back to your nostril. And for a few more moments, really mindful of the in-breath and the out-breath. Just this much. And now, letting go of this, eyes still closed. This time, as you let go of focusing on the nostril, this time please bring your attention to your physical heart. Our heart has been yearning, aching, thirsting to connect with us. So if it works for you, if it pleases you, please put one hand, if you like the other hand on top of that, and really envelop the heart with the love of your palm of your hand, holding it in tender affection, even cradling the heart. Connecting, bonding with the heart. And now, connecting with, bonding with the beat, the rhythm, the heartbeat. Please feel it, bond with it, connect with it. And now, letting go of this, and this time, through the heart, listening to this beautiful revelation that came to the Prophet Muhammad in a dream, peace be upon him, where Allah, Spirit, Divinity, tells humanity, Allah says, "O beloved one, I cannot be contained in the space of the earth. I cannot be contained in the space of the heavens, but I can be contained in the space of the pure, loving heart." Becoming aware of this astonishing mystery that divine heart is inside human heart. The space of the heart is actually boundless, infinite. Just be with that for a few moments, please. And now the great mystics say, because the Quran says, to Allah belong the most beautiful names, to Allah belong the most beautiful names. It's a beautiful practice to plant inside this boundless space of the heart beautiful words, like they suggest, tell the heart, I love you, with feeling, with emotion, with sincerity. I really love you. I love you. It's okay if it feels awkward. You might change it to, please help me to love you. Feel free to add other words. I am so grateful. Thank you. I am so grateful. You can continue. Please help me. I need help. I surrender to you. I love you. Please help me to love you. Thank you. I am so grateful. I surrender to you. Please help me. Whatever needs to be said, say it with feeling inside the heart again and again and again and again. We can never overdo this. And as you keep saying those words, a most beautiful vibration, divine vibration, filled with love, blessings, healing, empowerment, is going from the tongue into the mouth, into the throat, deep into the chest, even deeper into the heart, even deeper into the hidden, and then even deeper into the hidden of the hidden, astonishingly, amazingly loving us, blessing us, healing us, empowering us. And now stop saying anything at all, just become very still for a few moments. As I count numbers coming into awareness ever so gently. Number 1, slowly, easily, gently coming into awareness. Number 2, feeling a deep connection with divinity. Number 3, feeling grateful. Number 4, becoming aware that we are the beloved of the beloved. All is perfectly well, no matter how it seems. And number 5, at our convenience, ever so gently, opening our eyes. And one last Bismillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Become very still, and after a few moments, Sister Zahra will do the azan.
Actually, Sister Zahra won't do it.
Oh, she won't do it?
I will do it.
Okay.
I'll do it.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
It's, she's. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar. Allah